Go, 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 Shabbat. It's your Pesach. We're gonna say to her like it's your Pesach. We're sipping Manischewitz like it's your Pesach. And you know we got the 10 flakes on your Pesach. We have to say the club and all your bread to shove, cause we got a lot of matzah. We gotta get rid of, we gotta drink a lot of wine. Kinda really love, so come and drink it up. And we gotta kiddish cup. Let's hear the 10 plagues, yo. Blood in the river, back on your...
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Hanukkah Erotica Book Club, episode 10. I'm Raizel, and I'm here with Malya.
Hello.
My stepsister and co-host.
That's me.
And we are here for our Pesach episode. We're so excited. We started with Hanukkah, and we did a little Purim flinging.
Novelette.
And we are here with another, this is kind of a novelette too. Something.
Yes. This was a good, I felt this was a good length. It was a long, short story. So I guess that's a novelette.
It was. So we're back for more KK Hendin. KK Hendin is what got us started.
She's where it all began.
She is where it all began, and we're back for more. We now have read I'll Be Home for Hanukkah.
Correct.
We read a short story in the Burning Bright anthology.
Oh, yes, that's right. Right. That one was like parenthetically about Hanukkah. It was really kind of about Israel, like post-seminary stuff.
Exactly. Going back to Israel over winter break during your second year in school when you're back home.
Yes.
So she has some range, and now we're back on the Upper West Side, back in apartment 5G.
Right. I didn't realize that this was sort of a romance novel, I guess, like trope to come back with characters who were sort of secondary in another book and make them into the main character.
Oh, yeah. The full series exists like this. By the way, I think that's what Hot Lumberjack is.
Yeah. No, I remember you said that about Hot Lumberjack, and now we have the same thing. We have the same construct here. So I'm catching on. I'm connecting the dots here.
Yeah, full series. Like, if KK were to continue, Riva would get her own book. All of them would get their own.
I support that, to be honest with you.
Me too. So wait, what'd you think?
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. For the pretty much the same reasons that I enjoyed I'll Be Home for Hanukkah, which is one deep track from references. Like,
very.
Even more so, I think, than I'll Be Home for Hanukkah. Like, this one had some doozies.
Honestly, I highlighted one that I don't know. I do not know what it means.
I wonder if it's the same one, because I thought, like, this is so obscure. Wait, is it? I'm gonna guess.
Yes.
It's the finding a siyum to go to.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Yes. So sorry, there's two. Okay. That was one of them.
Okay, what's the other one?
We have to explain what this book is about before we get into these.
Sorry.
But the other one, I have to honestly look up, because I can't even remember the phrase. It was like a phrase of two Hebrew or Yiddish words I've never heard before. Like, she was talking. It was like, now that I have something, then you really have to trust me. That kind of a thing. I have to find it. I have it highlighted. I promise I will get to it before the end of the episode.
Okay, great.
I will find it. That's my goal. But hopefully it just doesn't derail it too much. But agree, she doesn't give any Fs about defining her terms.
No,
she defines no term.
Nothing's defined. There's no like subtle translation or like context.
Nothing.
No.
She just it's literally it's about
it's
modern
if you know,
Orthodox.
You know.
Yeah. It is about modern Orthodox from singles on the Upper West Side, which, by the way, she doesn't necessarily explicitly name, and that's something I'd like her to do more of. Like, I just want her to like name where they are. Like, we know where they are. Any reader knows where they are if they're readers who are New Yorkers or Upper West Siders or Jewish. But so anyway, that is one thing I want KK to do more of. Like, really describe the streets, the parks, even in the Catskills. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is a book about Abby Horowitz, one of Shayna Adler's roommates. Shayna is the one from I'll Be Home for Hanukkah who fell in love with Noam in Alaska.
Right.
Now, that whole Alaska plot. Like, it was so over the top, and the fact that it was Christmassy was so over the top. And I know what KK was doing. She was trying to make it a holiday romance book, which, by the way, had she not done, we would not be here doing this. So I'm grateful for that book.
Totally. She started it all. I
She,
mean,
she really did.
she lured me into the whole genre.
Exactly. And that's the book that came onto my Libby account, like that in my Libby algo. Like, I get it. I'm happy it happened, but it was so over the top. This was actually like a more believable storyline.
Yeah. If anything, this was like under the top. Like, I
Yes.
felt almost like there was so little conflict that I almost didn't really understand what there was very little conflict.
Yes,
It was
and
much more about sort of like the ambiance in this world.
Right, but the thing is, like, she could have gone harder with the Pesach program, and I was hoping for that because just as she described this, like, very rich, weird Christmas town in Alaska, North
Right.
Pole, Alaska,
Right.
Pesach programs are nuts. There's so much to be described.
Have you been to a Pesach program,
Okay,
by the
yes,
way?
I have a lot to say about this. Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, so basically, Abby Horowitz is the roommate, and she has a close friend in the building who's Noam's roommate, Daniel Cohen, and they're really tight. Like, they hang out a lot. They have banter. They
These
get
two
along.
apartments have a whole dynamic going where it's like a girl's apartment and a boy's apartment in the same building. And they have a whole thing going on where they have Shabbats together.
Yes, they even have shared Google Docs. At one point, he was planning to make food for like dessert for the meal, the Shabbos meal. And he's
Right.
like, I checked the Google Doc. I saw there were no peanut allergies coming, so I'm making a chocolate peanut butter cake. By the way, I love that Daniel Cohen meal preps.
There's
and
a
loves
lot of
making
meal
dessert.
prep in this book. Who are all these meal preppers? Like, I feel like people in their 20s who are working hard jobs are not meal prepping. Like,
Okay,
when I was on the Upper West Side, I didn't even know what meal prepping was. But
Okay,
I don't know. Maybe it's a different
because
time.
at this point, but I'm saying maybe it's because it was a long time ago.
You're right.
And now they're seeing TikTok and they're cutting up vegetables and they're prepping.
They have
Even like
Google Docs, right? You're right. It's a different.
we didn't have Google. I mean, Google Docs
Right.
existed, but it's just I actually feel like maybe this is accurate. Just not it wasn't what we did because
Totally.
it was long, a long time ago.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I meal prepped a drop. I also just never use that word. 'Cause, like, meal prep's a weird term. It's just cooking.
Right. Maybe
and
you just
eating
be like, I
leftovers.
cooked for the week. Right. Exactly. Right.
I love that he meal prepped, and I love that he was really into making desserts.
And he was like, do we have a box of Duncan Hines mix? So
Yes.
Duncan Hines mix is apparently still alive and well on the Upper West Side,
Yes,
which is,
yes.
good to know.
It's great.
Yeah.
She roasted squash at one point. I'm like, oh, they're still making that squash cookle.
I like that squash guggle, the cinnamon sprinkled on top.
Oh, basically they're both like really kind of not interested in dating right now and almost annoyed by it. She's in law school, he's an accountant. They're both kind of working their asses off, and the book starts with her on a date with a guy, a really firm guy, more religious than her, who had this taxidermy interest, and he was holding a taxidermied rat. That was
That was funny.
it's funny. And
It was also funny that she was like, I can't believe I brought him to my favorite cafe. And I felt like that was true to life. Like, it was like you took an unknown quantity like into your world and then regret it. You know what I mean?
totally, I really appreciated that whole thing. Again, what I did want though was to be like, name the cafe, describe it. Where are you? What street is it on? Like, is it a
Right.
Starbucks on 87th Street? Is it the Aroma on, whatever, 72nd? Like, is that place
Right.
even there? I don't know. But like,
Is it Edgar's?
exactly. I want to know like where it is, which place, that Swiss whatever German pastry shop thing, like on 110th. I just wanted to know,
Right.
and I
That was
felt
like the
that would have
funky
made
place.
and that would have made the book a little better.
Totally.
like-
She's not right. She doesn't really. She relies more on the character development, not so much on the scenes.
Exactly, but it's like it would just enhance this book. This was her best book, by the way. I didn't say this, but I liked this the most.
It was really good. Although, okay, just in terms of the funny trope with these being characters from I'll Be Home for Hanukkah, like there's a point in this first Shabbat meal where Shayna and Noam, who are now dating, are like talking about an extension of the plot from the first book. And I literally had no idea what she was talking about. Like, there was some permutation of the story with the
boss,
the
Moira,
clients,
or Mariah,
yeah, and the assistant, and I was like, I don't understand what she's saying right now.
Because kind of, I don't really feel like I even understood that entire part of the storyline in the book, I'll Be Home for Hanukkah. Like, every time there was, like, anything going on with their professional lives in Alaska, I was very confused. So I was confused here, too.
Right. I just kind of relied on the fact that it wasn't going to be important, and it wasn't. But that was funny, right?
Yeah, totally. You're right about that. Okay, so she's all upset, not like upset in a desperate way at all, by the way, and I love that about Abby. She's just like more annoyed. Like, she's like getting pressure to date, and she keeps getting people like from her family encouraging her to get set up and kind of making her get set up on these dates. And she's like, I have like a very limited amount of time, and I'm not ruining my favorite cafe with like taxidermy dead rat guy. Just like, oh, she's just like, she's very happy in her life. She's not like desperately looking, oh, where is he? Where is he? It's more like this pressure from her family.
Totally.
And she's annoyed by that. Meanwhile, he's super busy too. He's like, I'm too busy for this. Oh, my Aunt Susie just told me she wants to set me up with someone. And one Shabbos meal, they sort of have this plan. They have this kind of epiphany. Oh my God, we should fake date each other.
Yes. Or fake date like other people who are actually each other.
Exactly.
Like,
not
create
exactly.
a fake person that's based on each other as real people.
Right.
Because they have generic Jewish names.
Exactly. He's like Daniel Cohen. There's 4 other Daniel Cohens in my accounting firm.
Right.
She's like, Horowitz isn't as popular as Cohen, but okay, there could be another Abby Horowitz, sure. Right. And so they sort of have this idea that all they're just going to have to say the next time someone brings up, you know, Aunt Susie or his mom brings up this thing, or her mom brings up whoever, all they're going to have to do is say, I actually met someone. It's super new, but I met someone, and they were going to drop it.
Right. By the way, first amazing KK reference is right before this meal. Daniel's thinking about the meal, and he's like, oh, I love these winter Shabbosim. Like, Shabbat starts so early. And I was like, yes, KK. Winter Shabbosim.
That's the thing. Like, all of it. Just the way that, yes, I noticed the winter Shabbosim also. Because
that was the first one where I was like, great, we're back.
But no time for a nap with the winter Shabbos. They specified that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it was a pajama
Again,
Shabbos.
a big focus on naps.
It's a big focus on naps.
Naps and caffeine are like huge in this book.
Yes, naps and caffeine and true crime podcasts, which they call murder podcasts.
Murder podcasts, yeah. Right.
Very big. And also food in general, but yeah. So, okay, so they have this plan, but it doesn't quite work out just like that. Because instead of just being able to be like, I met someone, Mom, the next time they spoke, turns out their families are going to a Pesach hotel.
Right.
What's a Pesach hotel? Okay. This is where I said I think that she could have gone harder.
Right.
Because Pesach,
this is a whole world that could be sort of painted, yes.
Exactly. So, have I been on a Pesach program? Yes and no. We go to Orlando for Pesach every year.
Right.
It is almost like beyond a Pesach program. It's like everyone rents these timeshares. There's like hundreds of thousands of Orthodox Jews. There's refrigerated trucks schlepping the food from Brooklyn all the way down to Florida. Pallets and pallets and pallets of food coming off these trucks. There's matzah and wine and plastics and all these different things being sold. Where are they
aluminum
being sold?
foil.
Aluminum foil. You could you can get a service where basically I think it's my father-in-law will cover your counters in foil. I mean,
that's a service? I would pay for that, totally.
Yeah, there's a lot of different services in this Florida timeshare Pesach thing because it isn't exactly a program. It's more like I'm going to go to Orlando for Pesach, but now I need to figure out all the details. And so like Mitch's parents like help you figure out those details. You need matzah? You can buy as many cases of matzah as you need from me. How much wine are you going to need? You could buy as many cases of wine as you need.
See, that's funny to me because I almost feel like that's the anti-Pesach program.
I agree.
I feel like a Pesach program is designed for someone who doesn't want to think about any of those details.
I feel the same way. The Orlando situation, to me, feels like more work than just cleaning out your own house.
tons
don't
of
really
work.
it
But it
feels
sounds
like
fun if you enjoy like this logistic coordination, which it sounds like they do.
I think they do. They talk about Pesach 300 and, 354 days a year, I would say, is being talked about Pesach to enjoy the week and a half.
It's a hobby. Pesach's a hobby.
Yeah, it's discussed for the whole year to the point that when a couple of weeks before Pesach in this book, Dating the Other Daniel Cohen, by the way, I don't think we said the title. That's what it's called. Just a few weeks
Thank you.
before,
Important.
just a few weeks before Pesach, their parents are like, "We're thinking about going to a Pesach hotel." I'm like, that would never happen in my world.
Right. A few weeks is far too late. You
In
have to
my-
have been on
yes.
this bandwagon like since
Yes,
January, basically.
Oh, you're talking about Pesach. You're literally renting houses during Pesach. It's all year in this situation that I'm in. But, okay, I've also visited people at the Pesach programs while I'm in Orlando. So there's like a program at the Waldorf in Orlando.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Sure.
So
Tea
now
room.
this
She
tea room.
mentions the tea room. That's a big thing in these
Oh,
programs.
I could have gone way harder on the tea room. So,
Right.
okay. So what the concept of the Pesach program is for our listeners, way separate from this Orlando balagan I just described, is that you don't want to clean out your home. Don't worry, because everything is catered. There's a tea room that has breakfast, lunch, dinner and snacks from morning to night, which is not even the actual main like dining hall. It's just another room you could just go to get kosher for Pesach treats all day. There's at the Waldorf one, there was like a full-on grill going at all times, just like a barbecue with these buns that were like kosher for Pesach buns that looked like real. They were probably potato buns of sorts.
Yeah, somehow they're manufacturing these faux chametz things like just bananas, like
Quinoa sushi bar.
quinoa sushi bar. I've never been to any of these programs.
Yes.
I've like spent every Passover in New York or New Jersey, but
Yes.
I've heard
Yes.
tale of the quinoa sushi and just like
Yes.
the fake pizza that like, how do they make this? It tastes just like pizza. Like, what is this?
Exactly. Actually, the first person who ever told me about this, oh my God, what was his name? Oh. There was a guy, I went on a date or two with him, but it was like really, really like many, 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 many years ago. Like you and I had probably just met. Maybe I met him at Lee Mood or like, I don't know, one or two dates, like nothing. Alan. Do you remember this guy, Alan? I think William might even know him.
Oh, yeah,
Alan. Okay, you guys know who I'm talking about?
Totally.
So on our date, he had just gotten back from a Pesach program.
Oh, nice.
But I had never really heard of it, and he couldn't stop talking about the food and the quinoa sushi. He was describing it the way I wanted KK Hendin to describe it. This was like almost 20 years ago now, but he was describing it very, very, I was like, and that was the first time I ever really heard of it. Now they're all over the place in like a huge part of my life, but they're in Dubai, they're in Arizona,
Right.
they're all over Florida.
And the really lavish ones, I just feel like I remember there was the article, Dory Luwak did an article in the New York Post, I think, just about how insanely lavish these programs are. Like, not just the food, but like they'll hire like NBA stars to come and do like basketball demonstrations for the teenagers. Like, there's like batting practice.
It's to
with some,
remind
like,
us that we were slaves in Egypt, Malya.
Totally, we're gloating. We have the last word. We survived. We are not slaves. We are dropping bank on these Passover programs, and don't forget about it. So, like,
They're really lavish. I did not know about hiring celebrities.
I think that's happening.
That's very funny, but the Waldorf was definitely a very lavish one. It's just, like there's just like a beautiful pool and like food everywhere, and everyone's kind of fancy there.
Sure.
There's also like over Choloma with like excursions each day to all the different like, Disney parks, this, that.
Right.
Which reminds me though, this came up in the book also. I think you and I have talked about this, that we used to go on Holomoed excursions as kids.
Sure.
Do you remember the Six Flags one? Because I feel like we were there at the same time.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that was epic, the Six Flags. I always think about that one because it was like trying to find every New York Jew you knew from every situation before cell phones. It seems like mission impossible now, but then it was just what you did. You'd be like, meet me by the fountain at 2 p.m. But like, what the hell? Because there were 200 Jews by that fountain. And you were just like, yeah, I'll find you. Like, I don't know.
Did.
You did. You more or less usually did. It worked out. And they were selling kosher hot dogs and matzah. Like you put a hot dog on a matzah. Like it was a. There was a concession, brisk business. Because the whole park was rented out by Jews. The whole Six Flags theme park was
I know. I feel like it was like an NCSY or a Chabad trip or something.
Yeah, I think it was NCSY. Yes.
Yeah,
And it was very see and be seen. Like, I remember in my rebellion, the height of my rebellion was wearing a tank top, 10th grade. Not a tank top, a tube top, to Six Flags on Chol Hamoed. I swear to God, like I could have come out. Basically I came out nude, like the splash that this made. It was just like, it was just ridiculousness.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And
so much
actually,
good
there was
material.
one point that I was considering. So I knew this guy who ran there's a whole world also, because like obviously, and I know this now that I have my own kids. If you're going on one of these programs, you don't want to have to watch your kids. You want them to be occupied with their own great programs. So there's a whole world where they hire people, young people, to do the babysitting and run the camps, the quote
Yes.
camps at these programs, and then you get to just be there for free at this lavish program, and you do
Yes.
some babysitting and you get to hang out. So I knew the guy who ran the babysitting at one of these lavish programs, and there was a hot minute where I was gonna go with, I think, Talia or like a couple other friends. It was in
I
like
feel like Daniela once went to one in Arizona. I have a vague memory of this.
or maybe I was, well, anyway, I wound up pulling out at the last minute because I was like, well, I'm already 24 and everyone else who's in the babysitting program is going to be like 21.
Okay, but it would have been really, really fun and also a really great setting for a sexy romance like this one. And this is why I
Totally.
feel like this was a missed opportunity, because I loved this book, but like first of all, they called it a Pesach hotel. They never called it a Pesach program. I've never heard it called a Pesach hotel before. I've only heard these things called Pesach programs. So
Right.
maybe I'm wrong, but it was just like a random one in the Catskills. No, it was a nameless hotel in the Catskills that was like a main building and some cabins, and luckily they were at the same minyan. But sorry, I'm really skipping ahead. They end up both going to the same Pesach program.
Right.
And so their plan like doesn't really work out as well as they thought it was going to, because they sort of have to like come out to their parents that like this is the person I'm dating. So it wasn't really
And
a
also
fake
somehow
person.
they don't predict at all that that's going to happen. Like they
They're like,
know
"It's
that they're
big,
going to
it's
the same
big."
Passover program, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh no.
They're
And that's
like,
what I'm
"It's really
saying. There was
big,
like,
it's really big." Like, no, no,
the-
no, no.
yeah, of course. Like, how big could it be? You're friends with each other. You're gonna see each other. Like, it's not,
Exactly. So they're all there. She's there with her family. He's there with his family. Turns out the person that Aunt Susie wanted to set Daniel up with was Abby.
Right.
And the person that Abby was going to get set up with next was Daniel Cohen. So she's like, oh God.
And this is like the irony of the book is that they basically pretended to date so that they could prevent themselves from actually dating.
Yeah. From actually getting set up with each other.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, TLDR, they end up dating, but there's nothing hot or sexy and no kisses or anything like that. But
Absolutely not.
it is sweet and cute.
There's
And
a
I
couple
feel-
comments where she's like, she likes his sideburns. There was a comment about sideburns at one point. Like that's as sexy as it gets.
It doesn't get sexy, but the thing is, he's like at one point, like almost like he thinks that her eyes are beautiful. That's like a thought in his head at one point. She obviously finds him to be very attractive, but here's the thing: like, I feel like he's great. Okay,
Seems great.
He's definitely very attractive. She's like, he is the kind of guy who like looks great in every picture. The phrase "I woke up like this" was made for him. Like,
Right.
but then it turns out later when she mentions how hot he is to the roommates, when it finally all comes out at the end that this is all going on, Shayna's like, wait, did you say he's extremely attractive? She's like, yeah, I mean, he's extremely attractive. Like, as if it's just obvious everyone knows that, but really she just loved him, which is
That's
very
cute. That's sweet.
Very cute.
Yeah.
I found the phrase. I'm so happy. Yeah, so she finds him, he's really cute. They really get along. He's also like a good friend. Like they've been friends for a few years at this point, but like he checks in on her. He also knows her really well, which I appreciate. They know each other really well.
Yeah.
I thought they were cute and their chemistry was cute, but okay, let me read you this highlight that I highlighted of like one of the deep cuts of just the firmest KK Hendin from language. This is one I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce it right. That's so funny, Dan's mom was saying as he stared at her in growing horror. I'd been talking to Susie about her niece. We thought you should go out with her, but I guess things work out the way they're supposed to, right? And Susie told me, so funny, Dan managed. Dan, Alana hissed a few minutes later. Why do you look like you're going to throw up? I have no idea, Dan lied. Alana scrunched her nose. Yes, you do. Says who? Says me. Alana grinned. Now that I have Bina Yasira and whatever, I'm extra right. What is Bina Yasira?
It's like extra knowledge or like extra understanding.
Because she's married? Is that what she's implying?
I think so.
I've never heard that.
Do you get that when you get married?
Am I pronouncing it right, or is it like
I think
Bina
it's Bina
Yasira?
Yasera. I think it's Bina
Yasera.
Yasera. But I don't know if it's like, wait, I don't know if it's like you get that on Shabbat. Is it Shabbat when they're talking?
Yeah, it's either Shabbat or Yontif.
I'm not sure if it's like she's saying she has it because she's married or she's saying she has it because it's Shabbat or Yom Tov. But either way, it's like she has extra insight. That's hardcore. I just breezed right over that one.
That one I was like, and the Siyum one too. Tell me about the Siyum one. I was able to use context clues to be like, okay, something's going on. Something happens before Yontif or before Shabbat. But what is this?
I think it's that like the day before Pesach is supposed to be a fast day for firstborns, which I think he is. But like if you go to a siyum, it's like it's a mitzvah, so you could like have the meal at the siyum. The siyum is the completion of a book of like Talmud or Torah, and you you have a celebration, and then you have like a meal that's like a meal celebrating the mitzvah that you completed some piece of Torah, and since it's a meal celebrating a mitzvah, you can like get around the fast that way. So I think he's saying he always has to find a siyum to go to so he doesn't have to fast. That is very obscure, Rachel. Like,
okay,
come on.
Yeah. Okay, so that's like KK. I'm telling you, she gives 0 fucks.
No. She's like, I don't know who her target audience is like way specific as it gets.
As specific as it gets. Okay, here's something else I thought was really funny. At one point while they were in the Catskills for Shabbat and Yontif, because by the way, they came back to the city for Chol Hamoed for our listeners. They come back to the city.
They had to work. Right.
Yeah, they had to go to work. It's relevant. But during the Yontif meals, I guess they decide to have a meal together as 2 different families joining together once they sort out what everyone's minchags are. It's like, the reason I like actually appreciated this is like I wouldn't have appreciated this before I was a mince, because like why do you need to sort out what your Pesach minchagim are?
Right,
but
what's to be sorted? Okay.
We are non-Gebrux.
Oh no. Did not realize that.
Yeah. So listeners, this means that when I am with my actually I am not non-Gebrux, but my in-laws are. So like it could be in their house, but it means like wet matzah, I guess is my best way to describe it. But like all the best things like matzah pizza, matzah lasagna, matzah balls, matzah brie, those are all matzah that's like wet.
Right.
It's like it sounds disgusting.
The best things are all gross.
Like wet matzah, sorry, sounds disgusting. Not the name of my next romance novel, but anyway,
right.
We can't eat any of that because
what are you eating?
So like, I guess what is that? Because like maybe it could rise. Like I don't even. Is that why?
Yeah. If there's like a speck of flour that wasn't baked and is still raw and it mixes with that wetness.
Okay, then maybe it could turn into bread. You're done for.
Right. Yeah, it could turn to bread.
Okay, so on the last day of Pesach they can. So there's like a lot of matzah pizza on the last day. Okay, but it's like not kosher or not kosher for Pesach.
Right.
So like I can make a piece of matzah pizza, in the house
for yourself. I see what you're saying.
Exactly,
right.
But I'm not like
So that's a minhag that would need to be sorted out.
So that would be a minhag that would need to be sorted out before the families have meals together. Because what is another minhag that would have to be sorted out? Nothing. Men and women always sit together in these kinds of families.
Yeah.
This isn't like a yeshiva.
No, it's going to be about food. Yeah. I don't know. Like if
Chalav Yisrael, or maybe they're only Chalav Yisrael, but they're at a program.
Right. They're not deciding about.
So I felt products. It was about Gebrux or non-Gebrux.
It has to be. That's the only significant difference that would be.
Had I not have mentioned it, would you have thought of that?
I Oh, I might not have.
It's very, very, very specific and obscure.
Yeah. I'm glad you have that experience to bring to this material.
I'm not, but yes.
Well, there you go.
No, because the thing is, matzo balls are delicious. I made them this week in school with the little ones, the little babies, and
They are delicious.
yeah, they're really good. Matzo balls are great, and I miss them. Okay, but then there was a lot of other references like chocolate macaroons, jelly rings.
Right. It didn't reference my personal favorites, which are those those jelly fruit slices.
Yeah.
I was looking for a jelly fruit slice, did not see one. But, the jelly rings, the macaroons, those are major.
Those are major, yeah. The jelly fruit slices are too, though. Across
Really?
across all denominations of Judaism.
Everyone knows those jelly fruit slices.
Yes.
That
Yes.
unites us. That's not
Yes.
a minhag that needs to be sorted out. That's
No,
just, that's belongs to us all.
Yes, for sure. Once they get back to the city, they decide basically to get together to break up and figure out a breakup plan. I feel like they're both very into like, well, what's the plan going to be? What's the story going to be of us meeting? What's the story going to be of us breaking up? Like, that's very stressful to them. That's kind of the only conflict.
Listen, they're high achievers, both of them, and they seem like they're pretty organized. They must be. They're referencing the Google Drives. Oh, I do have to say this, which is that. So first of all, I was in law school while I lived on the Upper West Side.
Yes.
And there's one point where when they're starting to fake date, Daniel says, this is a lot to keep track of. I need to create a Google Calendar. And this was like a seminal thing with me and William when we started dating, that he was like, let's create a William and Malya Google Calendar. And I was like, oh, like, it's getting serious.
Oh, damn.
Like,
Oh,
there's
damn.
a Google
We're getting
Calendar
married.
now. Like, we're basically married.
Okay,
So
yeah, that is
just
true.
another, I really, there's so much to relate to here. It's
That
really,
is
really
true, though.
wonderful for me.
It really is. The starting of a shared calendar is really like, whew.
Right, like you're not faking it anymore. Like once there's a calendar, it's legit.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
but they
very-
get together, right, you were saying they get together to plan the breakup.
They get together to plan the breakup, and they decide to have like a Pesach treat kind of picnic. Have you had a Pesach treat picnic?
No. Have you?
I have. Yeah,
Oh.
in Prospect Park. I had a little Pesach treat picnic, and okay, there was a dating app that was very short-lived called How About We. Actually, it's possible it wasn't short-lived and might still. This is a weird thing. It's not that it was short-lived. It's that I ended up meeting Mitch, so it was short-lived in my life.
I wonder if it still exists. I actually think I know someone who dated one of the founders of How About We.
Oh, that's cool. How about we find a successful dating app? So
Right.
my How About We was like, how about we have kosher for Passover, have a kosher for Passover picnic?
Cute.
Yeah.
That
So I
was
had
what you were offering, you're saying.
Yeah. I was like, how
Yeah,
about
yeah.
we have a kosher for Pesach picnic?
Cute.
So I had one. I don't know who that person is, but it was we both brought kosher for Pesach. I think I had 2 kosher for Pesach picnics with one
But
person
did you
I know.
recommend that because that was already a thing, or was that something you
No,
believed you were
it was
inventing?
Pesach. It was Pesach.
Right. Got it.
So
So
it's
it's
like,
like, where
what
are you
else am
going to
I gonna
go?
do?
Right.
I'm
You
not gonna
can't
go
go
to
to
a
the
restaurant.
restaurant. Right. Got it. I
So it
understand.
was like, how about we have a kosher for Pesach picnic?
Cute.
And I got 2 hits.
What were the treats? Jelly slices?
Yeah, it was basically like this, kind of like,
Right.
matzah, just like this, matzah, cream cheese, and jelly rings, chocolate macaroons.
Sounds good.
But one of them brought charoset in a Tupperware. I thought that was funny.
That's hilarious.
Also,
What
like,
a-
I don't eat charoset other than the Seder.
Oh my God.
Like, do you eat charoset other times other than the taste of it you have to have during the Seder?
No, but I also feel like people do like artisanal charoset. My charoset's always been pretty basic. Like, it's good, but like you're not like schlepping tubs of it around.
And I know what you mean, because it's like in Morocco we put dates.
Yes,
and then
we have dates, we
And
have-
there's
yeah, we-
Persian charoset.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Sticky
Yeah, yeah,
charoset,
yeah.
which is good.
Yeah,
Listen, if someone else wants to chop all that and give it to me, I'm happy to eat it. But
Me too, but it is funny. Charoset in the Tupperware.
that's very funny. And you ate it on matzah. That's a good. That's a good.
Probably didn't. Maybe on matzah. Maybe it was matzah as the spoon.
Listen, you're not doing that at the minces because it's wet. So
No, but you do. We have it. Why? How is that
Alright.
possible?
how is that possible? Is it very dry charoset?
No, it's really good.
So what's up with that?
It's like apples and wine and stuff.
That's something to
I mean,
raise
are
at
they
the
not
Seder
eat-
table.
Okay,
Like, is that
I'm
an
gonna bring it
exception to
up.
the rule? Like, how does that work?
I don't know. I'm going to talk to them about this.
Report back. Please report back.
I will.
Thank you.
I will. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after.
I feel like this podcast is becoming a KK Hendin book. Just like reference.
Like really specific from things.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, what are any more of the like really funny references? Because there were so many. But yeah, the Siyum and Epicera,
The Bina Yasera is intense.
Bina
And the
Yasera,
Siyum, let's see.
What about how they were driving to the Catskills, but they had this like slight anxiety that they weren't going to get there in time for Shabbos, so they had extra food packed?
Yeah, that seemed over the top to me. Like, first of all, they were in the most insane traffic jam ever because it seemed like they were on this road for 8 hours.
Yeah, they were.
But
there was an accident. Both sides of the highway were closed, they said.
Right. But yeah, I'm not familiar with this level of anxiety around, like, again, the food and the prepping. I guess because it was Pesach, like, it was like they really wouldn't be able to stop anywhere, like, if they, they needed to be self-reliant.
I think it was because it was, Shabbat going into 2 days. I think that is. By the way, even just like the way that she says in the book, like, and they'll be back after the first days, like, first days.
First days.
That's
right.
not a term I grew up with.
Totally.
It's just it's very KK.
Yes. Love it.
Also, like, Bidikas Chametz. Or there's one part where it's like Pesach was barreling toward them like the potato fields panic attack it was every year.
I liked that.
I thought it was funny. There never seemed to be enough time to prepare. It felt like the time between Purim and Pesach seemed to shrink. Or maybe it was just that Abby was so much busier this year than she had been in previous years. I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're grocery shopping, and she's like, I want a loaf of bread. And he's like, you'll go through it, and if you have a couple slices you'll use them for b'tichas chametz. And she's like, great, good idea. No further conversation around that.
No, but like even in Schmutz, Felicia Berliner, who was like straight up using Yiddish constantly, would have been like, that's true, I can use it to burn when I complete the mitzvah of, like, even in that book, it was like the way she did define a little bit some of what was happening through her writing.
Right.
Hendin does not.
Right. No, I agree. I find it, like you said, she really does not care, and she's like, I wonder how much. Listen, I guess it makes sense, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really take away from the story. No one's not understanding the story because of this. Everyone basically gets the gist. And so, I don't know, she's really creating this is how a society works. People aren't explaining these things. They're just dropping it and moving on.
Never.
So
they would never.
It's true to it's true to the way the culture is.
Right, and the thing is, this isn't a story about, like, someone who grew up from and someone who didn't grow up from, like, me on the Upper West Side, because then they would be defining their terms, because I'd be like, I don't know what that is. Like, I feel like my entire several years there was, like, me being like, wait, what? What is that? What is this tradition you're talking about? Like, I don't know about this. We didn't do this growing up. What? But they're not. They're two people who grew up the exact same way.
Right, totally.
And also she references how the taxidermy guy was too frum for her, and then later, Daniel is like, I know that guy. He is too religious for you. Like,
right.
So, like, they are both the same kind of religious, and there's other people who are more, like...
And they can spot it right away.
Exactly. I thought this part was very funny. She's, like, chatting with him. He's already home for Chol HaMoed. Dan, you left your dinner at home. Or maybe it was before, I don't remember. Why do you know that? Oh, I ran out of quarters, and Shayna and Noam had just gotten some more. While I was there, I went to check if you guys had any mayo, because we ran out and Reba needed it, and there was your dinner sitting on the top shelf. Nice labels, by the way. If there's no mayo in the fridge, blah, 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 blah. And then she writes, Daniel Aryeh Cohen. And he says, how do you know my middle name? And she goes, I occasionally pay attention when they give Aliyahs at shul, Dan. That's very funny to me.
That was very cute.
Also, because, like, you really have to be listening.
Yeah. But listen, this is also the thing that really, for me, is the central problem with this book, even though I really enjoyed it, which is like, why weren't these people already dating? Like,
right.
It seems there's nothing that really, like, they obviously already kind of have a dating-esque.
Well, no, they were friends.
I know, but then toward the end, she's like, wait, am I flirting with him? Have I always been flirting with him? And then even at other points, she's like, pretending to date him is basically the same as our friendship already was, except now we always text when we get coffee instead of only sometimes texting. Like, it's like they're already acknowledging from the get-go that they basically are already dating. So I don't know. It almost feels like, I get it. It's like another trope of like, the person that you were looking for was the one who was there the whole time. But it's almost
Yep,
like
the whole time.
there were two there the whole time. Like, it was like, I don't know. Where they were in the beginning and where they were in the end seemed very not far apart from each other. Just, not
Okay,
far
but
apart from each
also
other.
because it was so modest. Like, it could have gotten hot and heavy by the end.
True, and it really did not.
One of us, maybe both of us, wishes it did. Like, nothing changed from the beginning to the end because they didn't touch at the beginning and they didn't touch at the end.
Right. And this is what we said about the first book, which was like, I don't really know. Like, I feel like these people don't live on the Upper West Side. Like, they're a little too, like, they're too from. Like, they're like, this is a Washington Heights story to me.
Maybe. I don't know, because they're more modern than that in my head. Like, they're listening to podcasts. She's watching Making a Murderer. She's watching Dateline Forensic Files. Like, is that happening in those? Maybe it's happening in both.
I think it is. But I think that those people are going to law school and becoming accountants, and they're listening and they're consuming some secular media. But it's like, they're also talking about like going to a siyum to be able to eat on the day before Pesach. Like, that's very from. Like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't either. But what about this part? Because I loved it. She's talking at the end to her friends, and they're like, "Why haven't you said anything?" And she's like, "I haven't." She's like, "Why didn't he say anything?" She's like, "Why didn't you say anything?" And Abby goes, because I didn't realize. I met him. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Okay, skipping. Well, yeah, I thought he was very attractive. But then she goes, "Of course I do," Abby protested. "I didn't think that was something that needed to be pointed out. Once again, have you seen him? I don't know. I thought that he was one of those universal truths. Hashem said keto twice on Tuesday because he thought up the idea of potato kugel." What does that even mean? That's not even what I was reading it for. "Most meetings could just be emails. The most influential lawyers in pop culture in the past 30 years were Celino, Barnes, and Elle Woods. And Daniel Cohen is a beautiful human being." This is like a weird KK Hendin paragraph. We've gotten weird paragraphs like this before. What is in this paragraph? It's weird. First of all,
like, what did she? It's like she pulled that out of like something she was writing to a friend or something. Like,
it's like it's so weird. I don't know what this part means. I thought that
Hashem said keto twice on Tuesday because of potato kugel?
he thought of the idea of potato kugel. I guess she's listing all the things that are just obvious.
That are obvious, yeah.
The most influential lawyers in pop culture. I love Celino and Barnes.
Yeah, of course.
Injury attorneys. Call 888-8888.
Right.
I like that reference.
It's great. And Elle Woods, of course, everyone knows.
Of course.
And Daniel
Cohen is a beautiful human being. But what is the potato kugel? It's such a weird. I was only reading it because of Celino and Barnes and Elle Woods. I thought that was funny that she mentioned that. But what is that potato kugel thing? It's so weird.
I don't know. Is that like a joke? Maybe that's a firm joke that I've just never heard. It probably is. It's like a dad. It sounds like a from dad joke.
This really does sound like that. I've certainly never heard it before, but
me neither.
Yeah. Anyway, listeners, if you've heard that, because by the way, last time we were talking about the chocolate cherry Hamantaschen and the Purim fling.
Sure.
Jonathan Horowitz and his mom, they make it every year. He sent me a picture.
What?
Yeah, but he said it's not a thing. Like we are right.
It's their own thing, right?
It's their thing. It's delicious, but it's actually not a thing. We're right about that. So, Jonathan, is this potato kugel thing ketova thing?
Yes. Jonathan, what do you know about this? Yes. And anyone else, please let us know. Because I've never, it's very bizarre.
Yeah, totally. So, honestly, KK, still would love to hear from you.
Where are you, KK?
Where are you? I've slid into your DMs.
Because I was also...
multiple platforms. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, this kind of is a good segue because I ran into a fan of ours.
Oh my God.
On the street today in Brooklyn. So this is a person who I know for years from shul here, from around the neighborhood. I haven't seen her in a while though. I happened to run into her on the street and she was like, "Oh my God, I've been loving your podcast. I've listened to almost all of them." And I was like, "Really? That's so great. Thank you."
Wait, do I know her?
I don't think so, but she gave us a piece of like kind of constructive criticism that I just wanted to examine for a moment.
Okay, but should you have given it 43 minutes ago?
I mean, maybe, but I think it's just, it's a good, it was a good segue now to kind of wind up in, because I think it addresses what you were starting to talk about, which is, she was saying, she's wondering whether like, we're taking a little bit of a lighthearted approach to this genre, obviously, but she was wondering, like, she felt like sometimes maybe we maybe veer too much into kind of not just mocking the story, but like mocking the project itself. Whereas like, there's people are writing these books as art, and maybe we're being too kind of cavalier about them, as opposed to just sticking to like joking about things within the book itself. Which I thought, it made me think of it because you were saying, well, who is KK? And I was like, as she was saying it, I was like, is she KK Hendin?
Could she be?
I don't know. I think anyone could be.
Anyone could be, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about KK is that, like, whoever it is a good writer. It's
Yeah.
And funny. KK Hendin is funny.
Yeah.
She does dialogue very well.
Absolutely.
She does texting well.
Good characters.
Her characters are great.
Mm-hmm.
They're believable.
Totally.
All their interests, their references, like, they're specific and believable. To the point, though, like, oh no, I hear the feedback, and I appreciate it. I don't want to mock the genre.
Right. Well, right.
But there is something, but it is inherently funny to me.
But I think the point is, like, the authors probably intended to be funny. And
Yes.
so when we're mocking it, we're appreciating their art, I think is the point.
I think so too. And I love having guests on, and I would love to talk to these authors.
Absolutely.
I would love to pick KK Hendin's brain.
Right. Like, where does she... And what's up with... And her decision to write these romance novels that are so devoid of sexuality is interesting to me.
Yes. I know. I mean,
And again,
I think it's really lending itself towards the Frum community.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. It's for the Frum community.
I love them. I like this one. I like this one the best. I can't believe you ran into a fan on the street.
Oh, and the best part about that story is after we walked away, Sammy, who's my son, who's 7, was like, wait, do you know her, or was she just a fan? Like,
could you imagine?
Just like people are approaching me on the street about Hanukkah erotica. Maybe, listen, one day I was like, no, I do know her, but she's also a fan, which is enough. And she's like thought about the podcast and has thoughts about it. I mean, I couldn't ask for more.
What a delight.
Yeah, really.
Truly.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
And she's not related to us.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We do have people who are really enjoying it. I'm getting really great feedback, and that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy that we were able to do a Pesach episode.
Yes.
I do think there's a lot of material in Pesach programs in general. I've been TikTok sober for many months, but I was telling friends today that if I was on TikTok, like, I could go viral with what goes on this week in Orlando.
Oh
It's
my
nuts.
God. I'm sure you could.
There was once a minion in the garage in the house I was staying in.
Of course.
It's like spillover into garage, spillover into the lawn.
Oh, wow.
Just hundreds of people, morning, noon, and night.
Wow. Holy moly.
Really crazy stuff. Really
Is the
crazy
food
stuff.
good? Like, is it good?
Well, it's Sarah's cooking. It's not like it's like a program. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, she has to
regular
work
food.
with all the ingredients that she brings down. I guess she's got it down to a T at this point.
Oh,
Yeah,
she has
yeah.
it down to a T.
Yeah. It's great.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
everything she needs. Everything she needs and more.
Wonderful.
And I'm like constantly sending other products I need, like Keatney-oat-free kosher for Pesach bamba made of almond puffs. You know about this?
No.
Because I'm just like, what am I going to feed the baby? Like,
Right.
I guess everything, like, that
Yeah.
he eats except a handful of things. But
Right. But I know what you mean. It's like the
like,
staples are,
handfuls of stuff.
Right.
Like bamba.
Right.
Anyway.
Bomba's great. Yeah. Melts in your mouth. It's great for the baby.
By the way, this podcast is sponsored by Geffen, like, because there was the juice boxes, but I'm talking about Geffen again right now.
Great
In
company.
the picture, great company. There's like almond puff things made of almond flour instead of peanut, and they're like bamba, but Geffen makes them and they're Pesach.
I'm sure they're delicious.
Yeah. So anything else you want to talk about with the book, or we kind of covered it?
I think we covered it. I mean, I think we said it all.
I think we did say it all. I'm just gonna quickly look through my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything, but I loved it. Really got me ready.
Does KK have more, or like is this the Girls of 5G done, or are there others?
Well, there aren't any more yet of the Girls of 5G, but I really want there to be, especially because Reva's a preschool teacher, and I just cannot wait to hear her story.
Right.
more Riva.
I also appreciated how at the end it says a portion of the proceeds of this book are going to be donated to the Hebrew Free Burial Fund. That was a twist.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's nice, you know?
Very nice.
Yeah.
KK's great. No, she has other books that she writes. Also, remember she had another pen name, Bronte Reeve.
I wonder, are those more sort of explicit?
I don't know. I remember that it was like the characters are not so happy. I don't know. I remember there was something about it about the author.
Yeah.
But it says KK Hendin writes books where people flirt awkwardly, make out, but they don't make out. Maybe there's other books. Oh yeah, they must be other books. Dish out a whole lot of sass and ridiculousness and live happily ever after. She also writes books as Bronte Reeve where people aren't as nice, and happily ever after isn't a guarantee. KK is currently writing way too many books and is still waiting for the subway to run on a regular schedule. For more updates, books, news, blah blah blah, sign up for her not love letter. Sign up for her newsletter. But I can't find her.
Oh man.
I can't find her.
Listen. It's part of the appeal that she's such a mystery.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I just
Makes it fun.
If you hear this, we would like to know more about the girls from 5G and the boys from 4K.
Absolutely.
What's happening with Ezra? What's happening with Riva?
Right. We want to hear about them all.
I want to follow up from Shayna and Noam, and I honestly would love a follow up with Daniel and Abby. They're cute.
Totally. We could hear more. No problem. I was sad when this ended, you know. I could have heard more easily.
Oh, I was shocked when it ended. I did not realize it was a short book.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I was not expecting that. So Mal and Fam and our listeners, Aziz and Pesach.
Aziz kosher
Kosher
Pesach?
v'sameach.
Kosher v'sameach? Yeah, we say that.
Kosher v'sameach.
Great. Yes, to you too.
A kosher and happy.
Right? What are where are we headed next with this here podcast?
Okay, I told you guys about this treasure trove I found by an author named Chaya T. Hirsch. Mm-hmm. This is from romance books like you haven't read before. Because it is like Borough Park, Crown High. It's like very from Brooklyn.
Oh, great.
It is not Upper West Side-y at all. It's like yeshivish. It's yeshivish or Hasidish romance.
Wonderful.
And it's called Shira's Secret by Chaya T. Hirsch. But Chaya T. Hirsch has written a ton, and I feel very excited for us to start the Chaya T. Hirsch journey together.
Fabulous.
But here's the description. Orthodox Jew Shira Newman is sick and tired of being the older unmarried sister in her family. At her youngest sister's engagement party, she escapes to the roof, the only place she can be alone. There she meets Jeff, a nice guy with a sweet smile and a secret behind his eyes. The two of them start talking, and Shira finds herself enjoying his company. They meet almost every night. There's just one problem. Jeff isn't an Orthodox Jew. Shira is expected to marry a religious boy, yet she can't stop thinking about him and wants to be with him. But how long can they go on like this before someone from her community discovers her secret, before one of them gets hurt?
Wow.
Shira's Secret. Shira's Secret by Chaya T. Hirsch.
I'm excited.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to talk about this one with you.
Me too.
And I can't wait to hear about Chaya T. Hirsch. Chaya T. Hirsch is an Orthodox Jewish woman who lives in New York. She's the author of Meant to Be and That Special Someone. She's currently working on her next novel. Chaya T. Hirsch has written like at least 10, and they're all on Kindle Unlimited. So if you're not a Kindle Unlimited member, it's a good time to start.
Great.
They're all on there for free.
Fabulous.
Okay. Mal, love you. Have a happy Pesach. KK, if you're listening, write me back.
Are we announcing any new
we have big
platforms?
News.
Yes.
Big news, Mal. Thanks for the reminder. All Hanukkah erotica episodes, past, present, future, are now available on Spotify. Not only Apple Podcasts, but also on Spotify, and Google Podcasts are coming. So we're branching out. If you have friends who you've been recommending the pod to, but they're like, oh, I don't have a Mac, don't worry. We're on Spotify now.
It's here.
It's here, and we'll be on Google Podcasts
Android.
soon.
It's on for Androids.
Yep.
Android users can now listen.
Exactly. And we can't wait for you to listen. Rate us. Leave a review. Follow us on Instagram.
do all those things. And we'll see
all
you
those
back here
things.
for Chaya T. Hirsch.
Yeah, we'll be back here in 2 weeks for Chaya T. Hirsch. Have a good holiday, everyone. And a good
Chag
night.
Sameach. Good
Chag
night.
Sameach. Bye.
Look out for born, gonna get the horn and slay you. Cap your ass just like I'm popping corn. To say the club and all the bread is shove, cause we got a lot of pizza, we gotta get rid of. I gotta drink a lot of wine, gonna really love, so come and drink it up, and we gotta get it good. Let's hear the 10 blades, yo.